All right, good afternoon, Danielle. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. I've got your resume here in front of me, and you have an extremely impressive background working as an accountant, and then you've worked your way up into a financial analysis role. So, tell us a little bit about your career path and how you got from point A to point B.
Okay, so I'm from New Jersey. I graduated at Rider. Then I got my master's at Georgian Court. My first job out of college was at Bloomberg, and I always say that was a great first job for anybody out of college. I basically had to go through all the financial statements and make sure that what we had in our system matched their system. And the reason it's a good foundation is you get to look at every single P&L, balance sheet, see how they all tie together. You learn about loans. So very basic, but great foundation. From there, I worked at the Hilton. I did their audit. I did their overnight audit over there.
Okay.
They knew I had gone to school for accounting, so they let me be in charge of everything from kitchen to helping with pricing on rooms and whatnot. And there, I learned how to communicate accounting to people who don't speak accounting.
Okay.
Um, because since I did overnight, I had to make sure all my reports were all good. In the morning, if they weren't good, I would get a call and say, "Hey, what does this mean?" So there, I learned how to speak accounting to people who don't speak accounting.
Yep.
From there, we actually had a guest that would come in every week, and he offered me my first real accounting job at DataRam. And DataRam, they produce the memory chips for the computers. And what they do there, what I did there was I worked with the CFO. It was just a CFO, myself, and one other accountant. So we did everything he didn't want to do, which included anything AR, AP, invoicing, um, taxes, payroll. I worked on commissions, expenses, inventory that was traveling out of state to actually count their stuff, commissions. I worked also with the actual team members that did sell the microchip pieces to kind of learn more about the little tech industry. From there, I had a friend in Palm Beach. She knew I was trying to leave the cold to get over here. So she told me, hey, Four Seasons, they need a temp accountant. It might be permanent if you want to keep it. So I got to Palm Beach, and there I was assistant to the CFO. I was basically a senior accountant there, those staff accountant. And I worked with him, and the hotel consisted of a spa, two restaurants, and a souvenir store. So there also I learned how to take the restaurant. Their accounting different than the spa, and the spa different from the store. So I was able to learn how to take all that, merge it into one report, and get it up to corporate. While I was there too, I figured out that their store was not. They were about a month and a half behind in close. So I spoke to my manager at the time and I said, "Hey, do you want me, since my plate's not full right now, I could go speak with them and see if we could get it down from a month and a half because that's like too long." And sure enough, I was able to get them to go from a month and a half in close. We worked on the system and they got them to do a week for close. So from there, my main place was to be in Orlando. I was able to come to Orlando. I got a job with Chiquita. I worked on their Fresh Express side, which is the salad and the lettuce that you see in the supermarket. And there I worked with the vendors in California, making sure that everything they said they were sending us, we actually got. And lettuce is very complicated. I thought it was just a vegetable. And there you have to learn the refrigeration. How many freezers do we need? What's the temperature? And then the trucks, the different types of trucks. There's trucks that don't have refrigeration and trucks that do have refrigeration. So when I started there, it was a department of about 15 accountants. And when I left, I was the only one originally left with about two other accountants that were new. Um, so there I learned every position. I did regular month-end close, financial cycle, AP, AR. I also had to do forecast and budgeting. Um, I I spoke directly with corporate to kind of say, hey, this is what's going on over there. This is the weather, because we also have taken into account the weather. This is what we think is going to happen. Um, and one of the reasons why it got so low, that the accounting department got so empty, is people try to take on these new roles and the corporate would not like how they did it and they would let them go. I was there to the end until I decided to go myself. So then from there, I went to transaction data systems. And they do the software that when you go to Walgreens or CVS, they run your script. That's the software that's getting it ran through. And there I was in charge of their AP department, and I did their AP. Um, I was able to also, so with most of these jobs, I like to beat my deadline. So if something's due the 30th, I try to get it done the 20th. So that way I could kind of put it aside and go back, look at it with a pair of fresh eyes to make sure nothing's wrong. It looks good. I'll even let my boss know because maybe they'll look at the report and say, you know what, maybe we should switch this around and do that. So since I do have that extra time, I was able to there work with the AR department, work with taxes, um, work with payroll, getting stuff um, all checked out, taxes as well as I mentioned, and I also did inventory there. So there I had a broad spectrum of things to do. And after there, I went to Bridge Investment, and Bridge Investment, they're a real estate firm. And I was in charge of about 30 to 40 properties at a time, depending on what was being sold or bought. And there I basically was in charge of everything from balance sheet to income statement to any variance analysis that had to be done. I did it. I made sure that every property was could pay the rent. If they couldn't pay the rent, I worked the fund. I did intercompany transactions as well. I did taxes for all those properties, and I worked with the asset management team and the investors to also show them or give my recommendation what I think they should be giving to dividends to the investors. So I also worked on the investment side a little bit with them over there. After that, I went to Bank of New York Mellon, and here it's still property, but I'm on the fund side of it. And with the fund side, I'm doing so the role is lead analyst, but it's basically just accounting and analyst together. And I'm doing everything there again with the month end cycle, going from point A to point B. I do invoicing there. I do for all these roles. Also, I should mention I've done audit and I've also headed up the audit. I've been in charge, like with Bridge, for example. We had an audit team come in, ask for all this stuff. I took over. I came up with this whole format and graph to make it a little bit easier for my team to figure out what exactly we need and what had to be pulled. Here at the bank, I'm doing the same. I do their, as I said, variance analysis. They also deal with stocks, with investments. So I make sure that I do the distributions, the contributions. They have 4 different types of stocks right now. So I deal with that. And what else do we do there? We do a little bit of everything there. It's just a
And
more
this one that you're working on right now is a contract assignment, correct?
yeah. So it was contract to perm. I did get hired permanently, um, and it's I deal with one client. It's a team of 4 people, and it's a $1 billion client. So we do everything for them. If they want to know how much, like today, I was just working on a flash report. So it's basically just a quick in-depth detailed analysis of the last 2-week cash flows. So we do
Okay.
cash flow analysis, variance analysis, accruals, reverse accruals, all the regular stuff. We're basically their accounting for that company.
Well, and I love that this most recent assignment, is this the largest client that you've had, the being the multi-billion
Yeah,
dollar entity?
definitely. Yeah.
Have you ever been in a situation where you have to help with proposals for potential investors?
Yes. So what we do there is I've pulled up all the balance sheet, the property acquisition statements, acquisition entries, taxes, all that, and we put together a whole big package, and
Okay,
we basically send it over to the client and let them check it out.
fantastic. What software programs have you used? I'm sure you've used a number of different variety of packages for these different companies that you've worked for. What are the top ones that you're the most proficient in?
I've done Yardi, NetSuite, Sage, Globe, something called PRS. I've touched on SAP and I've touched on Great Plains as well.
Beautiful. And I would imagine you have advanced Excel functions in your skill set.
Yes, with every job, if it's you need to know Excel. Yeah.
Absolutely. Danny, what would you say is the most important thing to you about the next company that you work for?
I'm looking for basically number one is a good culture because I think if you have a good culture, it helps to produce better employees, better productivity. So I know I'm bringing my A game. I'm looking for a spot where it's good culture. I can stay there and I can learn and grow because I just want to be able to stay in that company long term.
Wonderful. And I do want to point out too to the client that a lot of these assignments that you've had, there's longevity at some employers, 2-3 years, and then some of them were contract assignments as well too. So the ones that we see were a couple of months were the contract work versus the permanent positions.
Exactly.
Beautiful. And then my last question is, why are you leaving your current position?
So in my current position, I at first was told that it was completely remote. They've decided to go back into office, and I'm about an hour and a half away. So that's too far. Yeah.
Understood. All right. Fantastic. Well, I am very excited that we had an opportunity to film this today. I'm going to chat with you a little bit more off camera, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Thank you.